welcome back to His and Hers Movie Podcast. This is episode number 32, featuring a review of the Australian survival thriller Outback. It is June 15th at the time of recording. I am one half of your hosting duo, JP, podcasting out of southwestern Pennsylvania, and joining me tonight, as always, is the wonderful Carly. Where are you podcasting from, buddy?
South of Western Pennsylvania.
The same place, huh? Jeez.
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
Go figure.
About 8 minutes away from my buddy.
Is it really 8 minutes away?
Yeah, I counted once. Depending on how fast you go.
So
it's like 8 to 10.
5 for me.
No, like 8 to 10. 10 if you're going 10 if you're not going fast.
Okay, so dude, what is going on? We are back again to record a new episode.
We are, and we are not on the couch together this time.
No, it was fun while it lasted.
Yes. But, yeah, I mean, not much. I had a pretty decent weekend. You and I, which I'm sure we'll talk about, went to the drive-in for the first time this year, which was super nice to get out and do that.
I loved
Our
it.
drive-in, to be exact.
I loved it. It was such a great experience. Like, I was in such a good mood from that. I've missed watching movies on the big screen so much. And honestly, like, drive-ins, to me, the screen, it's like not as, like, as much as I love drive-ins, it's not as good as in a theater. But even with that said, I thought the screen was big and bright. The picture was really clear. Like, I was really, and we didn't even have the best spot, but it was like hella good for me. Yeah. I just love the experience. Like, I was so jonesing for it.
Yeah, I like the drive-in. That was only my 4th time, sadly, being to the drive-in that's literally 3 minutes away from us in our own town.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't your town back then.
Yeah, but still, it was like right next to, it was still pretty close. Not my mom and, parents, whatever, they never really took me when I was a kid because, she was always afraid to drive at nights and she would fall asleep. So she'd be like, oh, we're going to go to the drive-in. And then she'd be like, you know what, never mind. So I never really got to go until I was a senior in high school. And even now I slack on going. We both kind of do. We, of course, go to our all-night thing every year at that other drive-in. But you and I really don't see many a move. So
yeah, I think the last one we went to was back in probably 2015 or 16. What was it? 2016? It was The Shallows and Conjuring 2.
Yes. Which was cool. I mean, The Shallows was good. We struggled kind of with The Conjuring 2. It just looked really dark on the screen, but
right.
Yeah, I prefer to see older films, I feel, at the drive-in than newer ones. Is kind of
I definitely enjoy newer films in the theater more because it's more submersive and or immersive. I don't know. It's like you get into the movie more. I guess it's immersive. But the thing about like the retro films is like you're seeing them on the big screen is just like fascinating anyway. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So and a big thing that I always have with that particular drive-in, one, it's cash only, which annoys me. And 2, we have the AMC A-list thing, so it's kind of pointless for us to, spend $10 to see a movie at the drive-in when we are paying $20 to use that AMC thing 3 times a week, so it's like, you're really kind of doubling up your money. So really the most times I go to the drive-in is when it's, I guess, kind of like something that's retro or something that either missed the theater or the big thing for me is if they do a double feature of like something that I haven't seen. So typically like with the drive-in, like let's say a new movie comes out like The Hunt. Okay, so we usually see it like opening night in the theater on like Thursday, and then it's playing it Friday at the drive-in. And then by the time a new movie comes out that might play with it, that'll be first, and then The Hunt will be second, which we've already seen. So it's like, the Invisible Man or something. So it'd be like the Invisible Man and then the Hunt. And it's like, okay, well, even if we want to go see the Invisible Man, it's very rare. Like, you almost have to wait a few weeks while new movies come out to get like 2 pairs that you like.
Yeah, that's the thing, and you and I always like to go pretty much the night of when a new film comes out, so it's almost like going to a second run theater in that aspect. But I just like the atmosphere of the drive-in. I enjoy, especially if it's nice out. That's another thing, if it's raining or something, you don't really want to go to a drive-in.
Well, it was so nice the other night when we went. I was like really happy with it.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was fun. And besides that, on Saturday, my mom and I hopped in the car and went to West Virginia to eat at a restaurant called Cheddar's, and West Virginia is exactly 1 hour away from where we live, so we just took that adventure. We ate. She had to work later in the day, so we didn't do anything else out there, but that was fun. I got a stack, and it was a good stack. And then I came home and went to a fire at my friend's house, and that was about it for the excitement of my weekend. Yesterday I recorded MVM with Austin, so that'll be out soon.
And what episode is that?
That is Taxi Driver versus Joker, which is, I think that's our episode 16, if I'm not mistaken. I get all my episodes mixed up for my pods, but yeah, so look out for that.
Yeah, so that is one of those titles that I've never seen, which we will talk about that a little bit later. So yeah, besides that, I mean, I've been kind of chilling, not doing too much. I will say that I started a few TV things. I started F is for Family season 4. Of course, that's the Bill Burr animated special from Netflix. I can't believe it's 4 years since that started, and I've watched the other 3 seasons like the week they come out, and I've been taking it slow with this one. I've only watched the first 2 episodes, but I just really like that animated show. It's so fun, and it's like really funny, and it reminds me of like the grumpy old like father, you know what I mean, from like the 70s.
Yeah, I like that show too. I actually kind of just forgot about it though. I think I only watched the first 2 seasons and didn't realize they had made it to a season 4, so that's pretty cool that it kept running. I'm gonna have to watch it. I've been kind of not watching TV at all, but I do like my animated, adult comedy shows as much as the next guy, so I shall have to check it out.
Yeah, what else? So I started watching The Last Dance, which is the documentary on the 6th championship run for Michael Jordan in the late 90s with the Chicago Bulls. Not a huge fan of basketball, but I do remember the MJ era being like super important and popular because I was alive for the later half of it. And I remember in school, like even like everybody, like it's like so weird. I don't ever hear people talk about basketball now, but like back then, like Michael Jordan was like he was like a Muhammad Ali or a Babe Ruth, just a person who transcended his sport and became like a pop culture icon and just such a well-known figure in sports. Like everybody knows Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. Like the name Michael Jordan.
Yes.
I
knew the name, but I don't know anything about the sport.
He's probably the greatest basketball player ever to do it. Possibly one of the greatest sports athletes to ever do it at his own game. You know what I mean? Such a huge, important figure in sports, modern sports eras. And the documentary was pretty cool that I started watching. It's a 10-part hour. It's 10 parts. Each episode is an hour long, and I watched the first one.
Cool.
But besides that, I watched a couple movies, like I said, went to the drive-in with you, been kind of just, working on some, I totally forgot. I recorded my summer series episode with Duncan.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
For the podcast Under the Stairs. We recorded our 2003 episode on Friday, and it was around 5 hours of recording. Me, Jerry, Gary Hill, and Duncan. got together and we discussed 10 films from 2003. 1999 was the last year that we did last summer. But so the films that we discussed were Cabin Fever, Wrong Turn, A Tale of Two Sisters, Ju-on, The Grudge, Oldboy, House of a Thousand Corpses, Texas Chainsaw 03, Malefique, I can't remember the last two. Identity was one, and did I say Wrong Turn?
You did, yeah.
Okay, I said Wrong Turn. Malefique, Tale of Two Sisters. Oh, High Tension was the last one.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah. It was, and we also mentioned Willard and One Missed Call.
Nice. A lot of those movies I actually have not seen. Well, not a lot. I mean, Cabin Fever, Wrong Turn, those are good ones. High Tension's great. Well, I guess a lot, yeah. Oh, well, PCM, House of a Thousand. Those are all pretty good moves.
Yeah, no, I liked all of them. All of them.
So you had a fun time recording that.
Oh yeah, it was a blast. There was a heated debate with the guys and myself. It was pretty interesting. I was kind of on an island of my own on a certain thing, so yeah, it was a little intimidating, but I felt like I held my own and displayed my points quite well.
Yeah, I look forward to listening to everyone's individual episodes and seeing just all the movies that get mentioned and what comes out on top.
And you're supposed to record yours next week, right?
Actually, this coming weekend here, the 20th, I believe, Saturday. Unfortunately, my episode I have to record at 9 a.m. because the guys on this particular episode, every one of us has a different time zone that's completely opposite of each other. So it's like me and the one dude have to record in the morning, and then for like Duncan and the other guy, it's like pretty much the next day, literally on a different day. So it's kind of a little wonky, but I'm doing that this weekend, and then my other episode is supposed to go down on the 27th. So is that the next weekend? Yes, I believe. And I think I get to record that at 4 p.m., so that's not as bad.
We didn't line up our 2008 one yet, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But we were, we were the first episode to record. I just feel like me and Jerry alike are big trendsetters and big, we lead the pack, if you will, in the recording of the summer series shows and the picking of the films and just the whole summer series. We're just basically the best, is what I'm trying to say.
I am a follower.
Yeah, it was a crazy week this week, man. This was one of those weeks where like all that stuff came out with Cinestate and Fangoria and Blumhouse. I know you kind of avoided most of it. Not Blumhouse, but the people who used to work for Blumhouse, like Rob G. Rob G is a fellow podcaster. He actually made the documentary The Psycho Legacy, which is one of the cooler documentaries on films. It was done like before like Never Sleep Again and His Name is Jason, like all those. It was kind of like one of the first ones to do that thing. But apparently he got kind of called out for harassing women from a handful of women and people in the industry. And that was shocking for one. I also thought it was a little frustrating because although he was called out for harassing women, nobody actually said what that meant. Like, did that mean that he like messages them too much, or did that mean that he like smacks them on the butt and tells them to make a mistake or something,
Yeah.
I didn't know what the level of harassment was. I mean, all harassment's bad, but it's also in the eye of the beholder too. Like, did they let him know that they felt harassed? There's so much to it. And I just was like, I didn't know where to side. And I kind of just wanted to see where, like, at first I was like really mad about it. Because he was, one of the people that like spoke up against the issue with the Cinestate and like, you know, that harassment that was going on there. So if, you know, he actually was a harasser himself, it would have been very hypocritical, which would make me like mad. But then I started feeling like it was almost like a witch hunt thing where I'm like, okay, there's a lot of people saying like, you know, F Rob G, but like nobody's saying what he did. So that was really bothering me. But it seems to be, because he came out with his own statement, it seems to be that he has some level of guilt in the matter. But to what extent, I'm not sure. But anyway, the popular podcast that he was on, Shockwaves, he was removed from that podcast, and the podcast is on hiatus. So I'm curious to see what is going to happen with that podcast, because it's probably one of the more popular podcasts in the horror sphere. So that is something that I'm very curious to see what happens with that. I've listened to them since like 2013 or 14 or something, you know, because they were another podcast called Killer POV. And then they started doing the Shockwaves brand a couple of years ago, I think like 2016 or so. And yeah, I actually started going back and listening to the old episodes because I never really got fully on board with Shockwaves. I just picked episodes here and there to listen to. But I listened to the entire run of Killer POV, and going back, I'm like, yeah, this is a really good podcast. I'm on like the 20s, and they interview the guy who made Phantasm 5.
Oh, okay.
And it was like right before it came out, or like right when it was coming out. So it was very interesting. It almost made me respect Phantasm 5 a little bit more based on like how they made it. They pretty much made it like they did the first Phantasm, where they like basically shot it over weekends and stuff like that. And it just got bigger and bigger. It was going to just be like a couple of web clips or something. And it just became a full movie.
Don Coscarelli, he didn't direct that.
Right. He was there like most of the steps of the way, but...
Yeah, I always forget that because I always want to say, oh, that's another, you know, one of those rare franchises where the director did all the moves, and then I remember that he was just kind of there for that one. So
and weird. Then the like 2 episodes later, they have Osgood Perkins on there.
Oh, that's cool.
And they had him on there right before right before February was supposed to come out that first time. So it was his Netflix movie, I'm the Pretty Little Thing That Lives in the House, was about to drop, and the February film was about to drop in the US, but then of course, remember, they pulled it from 2016, and I think it came out like the next year, or like 2 years later. So it was like a while later, but and it was so interesting to hear him talk about his dad and stuff. He was talking about how his dad was like, you know, it was interesting to hear him talk about the first time he watched Psycho. Was he able to see it like, you know, for the masterpiece it is, or did he just see it like, oh, that's dad or whatever? You know what I mean? It is an interesting concept, right? But hearing him talk about that, and then hearing him talk about the types of movies that he was into and stuff, and like the types of movies that he wanted to write, was really interesting. He talked about how he was an actor at first, and he just really didn't like it, really. He just felt like he sucked at it and stuff, and was barely able to get by with it.
Oh, he played in like 2 movies playing the same type of character, where he was just kind of an awkward loser in the background.
Yeah, well, he played in Legally Blonde, right?
Yeah, and that he was like this loser, and he plays kind of this side character. He's always a side character. I mean, I don't know.
Wasn't he in Not Another Teen Movie?
Yeah, and he's got a very small, pretty much cameo moments where he's just like, he's the dude that she goes up to and is like, hey, my name is Catherine, and he's like, I know, we just had sex 15 minutes ago. And then that's his only part in that whole movie. And then Legally Blonde, he's just kind of this dorky guy in the group. And then he was also in Psycho 2 as young Norman in that. Right, yeah, he mentioned that.
He also said that it was like amazing working with Netflix. Like, they didn't give him like barely any notes. They basically just gave him free reign to do what he wanted. And he said and a lot of money. So That was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I could see that.
I forget I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. Like, I don't really remember it that much, but I remember thinking it was good.
I never watched it, and I've heard from most people it's pretty good. But it's one the kind of, because when did that come out? Like 2015, 14, that range, or
yeah, it was like 2015.
It came out before. Yeah, it came out before I really got into watching a lot of newer movies, so I kind of went under the radar with that. But yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, he's talented with directing for sure.
Yeah. All right, so with that said, check out those early episodes of Shockwaves. You know, I've been working my way through it and really, really enjoying it. I forgot how much I like those episodes and those guys. They do a really good job, you know, for being like mainstream and indie industry. They do a great job.
Yeah.
They have access to people that, you know, we just don't.
Yeah.
So, with that said, before we get into the stuff that we watched, we have a new thing that we're going to do.
We sure do.
So, it was inspired by Dave, aka Mr. Parka's series, his weekly review series on YouTube called, I don't think it has a name. I don't think so either. It's just like... But he does a little segment. What's that?
I think he just calls it like week number 554 or something. Like...
Yeah. But he does a little segment on there called Blind Spot. And Blind Spot is a thing that he started that every like year he does like a new little segment for, you know, 52 weeks or whatever. And I think he did like Hammer Time last year. So that was like where he reviewed Hammer films. So what we're going to do, instead of doing it for a full year, because we don't want to burn ourselves out, we took the concept of his blind spot, but we are going to adjust it a little bit. So what he did was he just picked 25 movies, and then Jeremy picked 25 movies that they hadn't seen that were pretty popular, that they consider blind spots for themselves. What we're going to do is something very similar, but we're only going to do it for 6 months. And instead of us picking our own, we picked each other's.
Yes.
So we picked each other's blind spots. And we actually went heavily away from the horror genre. You know, this is primarily a horror podcast, but we do cover some non-horror stuff. And this will just be a one segment during the show, and you know, you could skip ahead of it if you don't want to hear it or whatever, but it'll be pretty brief, and we'll do it at the end of it. We'll do it right before the featured review, so it'll be after what we watched, right before the featured review. Okay.
Yeah. And the movies that we picked are like the ones I picked for JP are ones that I have seen before, and vice versa, so that we can we know what they are. It's not like we're just blindly picking movies that we don't know about.
So we're not going to watch them together, because that's why we picked ones that, you know, I've seen that I picked for her, because then I could at least talk about it. And a lot of these are movies that I've seen multiple times and very familiar with. So basically the way that we're going to do it is, we're going to do one a week, and we'll alternate. So you go first and then I go second. So this week, you know, next week or whatever, you'll do one, then the week after I'll do one, then back and forth, until we do 13 of them. And we're going to start in July. So the first episode in July, which is I think 2 episodes from now, we will start. So we won't be doing one on this episode or next episode, but we figured out we would announce it and kind of talk about the concept a little bit on this episode, since we just came up with it yesterday.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of fun. I almost wish we would have recorded the process. We had a lot of fun picking the films and sort of going through and talking about, you know, what we were going to pick and stuff like that. And so we have 14 films selected from me for her, and she has 14 selected from her for me. And how we're going to do it is we will randomize the film. So it's basically, you know, if let's say next the debut episode, you go first. You'll randomize the film, and that's what you'll watch and review on the episode. And then the next, at the end of the episode, we'll randomize my pick, and then that's what I'll do the next week. So that's how we'll go back and forth. And we have 14 films. We're going to do it for 13 weeks. So we each get one skip somewhere along the line if it's something we don't feel like watching.
Yes.
Okay. So with that said, I have the list of films here. So the first film that you picked for me was what?
It was actually Taxi Driver.
Right. And why did you pick that?
I picked it because, I mean, it's a absolute classic movie, and I'm surprised. It's one of those ones I'm surprised that you have not seen, because I feel like you've seen pretty much most of those, you know, De Niro, Pesci, Pacino films, Italian actor films that came out like in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I feel like you've seen pretty much all of them. And Taxi Driver is one that is very good, and I feel you need to see, and I just did it, like I said, on Movie versus Movie with Austin, and that's kind of what got me thinking about it. So that is your first pick.
Yeah, it's one that's avoided me for quite a while. My first pick for you was Reservoir Dogs, the Quentin Tarantino classic. We recently watched or I keep saying Not Quite Hollywood, but it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I always do that too.
Was that your only Tarantino film? Is that the only one you've ever seen from him?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm a huge Tarantino fan. I love all of his films. So I wanted you to sort of see my favorite Tarantino film, which is Reservoir Dogs. It's such a good movie. It is like indie film. It like did the festival circuit and made like huge buzz and stuff like that. And the early 90s were like a turning point in film, with especially like the festival circuit film. So that's one that you're gonna enjoy.
I just realized our number twos are both like 6 words long for each other. But
That's
my number
weird.
2, I know. My number 2 for you was The Hand That Rocks the Cradle from 1992. I went with this one because I had heard. I think I always ask you, "Oh, you ever see that movie?" And you always have said no. And it's one of my favorite thrillers of the 90s. The 90s are known for their thrillers more so than their horror films. I would say they had a lot of good thrillers that had to do with family drama and something bad happening to a family. And The Hand That Rocks the Cradle is one that I've grown up watching multiple times, and I think you'll dig it. So that is my number 2.
My number 2 for you was, I wanted to go with like a comedy that's pretty fun. Came out in 1991. It's called Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. It's starring Christina Applegate. Daniel Harris is in there as well. It's basically about a group of siblings who are being babysat all summer by this mean old lady. She ends up dying, and instead of calling their mom and the police and like letting them know, they decide, hey, we'll just kick it by ourselves and kind of like raise ourselves in this situation and have like basically a vacation. We could do what we want and stuff like that. And then quickly they run out of money, and they realize one of them has to get a job. So Christina Applegate basically gets a job to support the kids and the family. It's kind of a comedy, a little bit of like romance in there. But it's a very fun movie. I think you'll like it.
Alrighty. I too wanted to go with a fun comedy, and my number 3 is My Cousin Vinny.
No!
What's wrong? What? What's
I
wrong?
hate Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito is not in this move.
I don't want to watch Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
You are thinking of a different move.
No,
This
buddy.
is Joe Pesci, which is actually funny you make that joke, because I used to think they were the same person for some reason. I don't know why. Like
I might use my skip on this one.
Dude, no, dude. Like, this is like the. Come on, man. I get 3 skips on yours.
You don't get 3 skips.
I literally don't want to watch any of them.
You don't get 3 skips.
Why?
Because that's ridiculous.
Dude, how about, like, I don't even think we should get a skip. I think we should just randomize, and then you're screwed, and you have to watch.
There's only 13 weeks, but we've picked 14 movies. That's why we get a skip.
I know, but I'm saying, like, it should be. Wouldn't it be more exciting if it's like, oh, which one is going to be the one that we're not going to have to watch? by the end.
Or I can use my skip to skip my cousin Vinny when it comes
Dude,
up.
you already said you wanted to skip a different one on this list, so I don't want to hear it. But My Cousin Vinny is classic material. I think it's hilarious. It's another 92 film, oddly enough. We come to find there's several 92 movies on these lists. So good year for non-horror, I guess. But it's a great comedy. Joe Pesci plays, kid's cousin named Vinny, and he tries to get him out of trouble. So you have to watch it, buddy. It's funny. I love it. It puts me in a good mood.
All right. So my number 3 is more of a drama film, and it's called Hardball from the year 2001. It's also a sports movie. It follows Keanu Reeves, who is a compulsive gambler, and he basically owes the bookie in town like a ton of money. So he coaches this baseball team for, I think, to make money or he does it for a favor for the bookie. I don't remember. It's basically to help him get out of the situation he's in. It's an inner city baseball team with all, black kids from the hood who are, basically have no, they're kind of like the poor team and they don't have much going for them, but they all really want to play baseball. And at first he's kind of like, just doing it to do it. But then he kind of finds like love for these kids and wants to help them and stuff like that. It's an amazing movie. Love it. But I've always been a huge fan of it. That's Hardball.
All right. My number 4 for you is honestly a movie that out of all these movies is very loose in my memory because I haven't seen it in years, but that is E.T. from 82.
You just picked that because it was showing on the big screen next to us, because our drive-in has 3 screens, and I was mentioned that I had never seen it.
Yeah, but you've mentioned it before too. That was kind of an indicator, though, that it was playing there. It kind of got stuck in my head that it's one of those classics you haven't seen, and I feel like other people kind of in the community are like, wow, I can't believe JP hasn't seen E.T. So, I just picked it. It's not like one of my favorites or anything like that. I've seen it a few times when I was a kid, but I just feel it's one of those typical movies that everybody should see before they die. So.
All right. My number 4 is Dazed and Confused from 1993. This is a film that is basically the 70s. And it just follows a group of kids and, teenagers and adults who are spending like the night hanging out, in a town. It's a great, fun movie, funny moments, good stuff. Like you're going to love it. I know you are. I've wanted you to see it for a while. I can't believe you haven't seen it because if you like stuff like Breakfast Club and stuff like that and 16 Candles and movies like that, those, who made those movies? John Hughes, yeah. If you like those, I feel like you would like Dazed and Confused.
I don't know. I just always thought it looked dumb. But we'll see. I shall watch it.
Okay.
But after that, I picked The Boy in the Striped Pajamas for you. Just a pretty depressing film, obviously, about concentration.
Is it a Holocaust film?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's about like a boy who his dad is a Nazi, and they happen to live next to a concentration camp, and it's like through the woods, and the kid is like walking through the woods one day, and he comes upon the fence to the camp, and he befriends one of the Jewish kids on the other side of the fence, and then it is pretty sad. So I don't know, I just gave it to you because it's a sad movie.
All right, and my number 5 for you is an action film, also starring Keanu Reeves. Oddly enough, I didn't do that on purpose. And it basically follows this is actually a great movie. Funny enough, I watched this with Shannon's dad back in 1995 on VHS when it hit VHS. At that house, the house that you've been working in, at that house.
That's weird that you have been in that house, like, in the past.
Like as a kid?
Yeah, and now it's like, we're like redoing it. It's just a weird circle of life.
Yeah. But it follows Keanu Reeves, who basically stops a guy from blowing up an elevator, played by Dennis Hopper. And Dennis Hopper's like really pissed off. He's like a terrorist kind of dude, and he's like really pissed off. So a couple years later, a year later or something, he basically attaches a bomb to a bus that after the bus goes over like 40 miles per hour, if it goes under 40 miles per hour, it blows up. And Sandra Bullock's on the bus and she takes over driving. And basically they have to keep the bus going at like 40 or 50 miles per hour the entire time, or else it's going to blow up. And they're trying to figure out like what to do. All right. And now before you give me this one, I would just like to ask you if you will compromise here. I had just noticed we both gave each other one Christmas film. And I would suggest that if it comes up in the randomizer, we save it for the fall or winter.
No.
Why?
I don't want to.
No, please, because I
want you to watch it now.
No, it's too hot. I'll die.
That has nothing to do with watching the movie.
Yes,
listen,
it does.
dude, I'm just saying, dude, like, I've been asking you to watch this one with me for years, and you always just don't. And you always just don't. And I just need this to not be your skip is all my compromise.
No, I'm not going to skip. What I'm saying is, like, if it comes up
I know
next
what you're
week,
saying.
Can I save it for, like, because this, judging by my calculations, is if we start in July and we do it for 13 weeks, we should be in, like, December, right? July, August, September. No, wait, that doesn't make sense. No, 13 weeks each. So it would be, so it would be like 20 some weeks. So it should be like, it should end at the end of the year, like December 31st. You know what I mean?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay. So if our Christmas titles come up, we are saving them. So what is my Christmas title?
Your Christmas title is Polar Express from 2004.
Oh,
it is one of my favorite. What?
Nothing.
What'd you say?
I just said it's Polar Trash.
No, dude, it's one of my favorite Christmas movies, and it means a lot to me, so I want you to watch it.
Okay. And the film I gave you for number 6 is The Never-Ending Story from 1984.
No!
Why, buddy?
I don't want to watch it.
Why?
It is sad.
You've never even seen it.
I know the part.
What part?
The horse part.
What horse part?
You know what I mean, and I don't want to watch it. It's going to be my skip.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, dude, I don't know, dude.
You're
I don't know.
skip that movie. That movie.
Well, I guess I can't because you lent it to me, but...
No, you can skip it. You can skip it.
Okay, we'll see. We'll just see when it comes up in the randomizer how I feel then.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe you'll start watching a movie like Hardball and you'll be like, man, this sucks. I'm going to skip it.
What if I think that about every movie I start watching?
Well, you only get one skip.
I feel like I don't want to watch any of these.
I feel like I feel like I give you a bunch of good movies and you just give me utter shit.
Dude, I gave you all my favorites. I swear.
You have shit favorites.
Dude, no I don't. You have shit.
The Never-Ending Story is a magical, and I try to like give you different stuff. Like, this is a fantasy film.
Okay, I did too.
Like, what?
What do you mean? I got comedies up in here. I got dramas. I got
dramas. I got
thrillers. I got... Dude, shut up. I got fantasy. E.T.'s fantasy.
Okay, whatever.
All right.
Okay, so I give you The Never-Ending Story. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I used to love it growing up.
Yes, okay. Well, we'll see. I gave you The Wedding Singer.
No, I'm using my skip on this.
No, you already used your skip.
No, I'm using it on this. I changed my mind.
You already used your skip.
I'm going to use 2 skips.
No, you're not.
I don't want to watch this. I should have given you Little Nicky.
Maybe we should not have done this challenge. Wait,
Why?
You didn't even give me Little Nicky, huh?
I know, I should have.
You said you were going to do that to be a jerk, and you did not.
Little Nicky is great.
Dude, but listen, The Wedding Singer is honestly one of my favorites.
It's called The Wedding Singer. I don't want to watch a movie about weddings.
It's not about... It's about Adam Sandler. He has a career as a wedding singer, and it's set, like, in 1985 or 86, or, like...
I hate weddings.
But, dude, it's just about... It's funny,
dude.
Have
you ever been to a wedding?
Do you know who's in it? Alexis Arquette is actually in it.
I actually knew that. She plays a transvestite, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Named George. But, It's a great film, dude. Drew Barrymore's in it. I think they're great together, Adam Sandler and her, so... Yes, I've been to a wedding. You've been to a wedding with me, but it's a good movie, dude. I swear. Okay. Okay, good.
All right, the next movie I gave for you, another big hit in the early '90s on the independent circuit, the fest circuit, and it's Kevin Smith's debut film, Clerks.
Yes.
It is a black and white film that Kevin Smith shot with credit cards.
Oh God.
Funny story. He worked at a video store, and he, I think it was after film school. He went to film school. I think he might have dropped out of film school because he was like, "Why aren't we making films?" And they're like, "We're learning about films." And he's like, "I already know about films. I've watched them my whole life." So he drops out of film school, I think, and then he's working at a video store, and he applied for like all kind of credit cards, and he's like, you know, since he worked at the video store, he's like the manager. They're like, "Hey, does Kevin Smith?" He would give them that number, and the credit card company would call to like verify that he made as much money as he said he did. He's like, "Does Kevin Smith really make $100,000 a year working at a video store?" And he's like, yeah, he does. So they kept giving him credit cards, and he basically went for it all because he just maxed out a bunch of credit cards to make that movie.
That's crazy.
What's that?
That's ballsy.
What's it? I can't hear you.
That is ballsy.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's tight. It's a throwing a Hail Mary for sure, but it's a fun movie about two dudes who work at like, you know, a video store, gas station. Is it a gas? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. And they basically talk a lot. It's a very talky movie.
Yes.
All right. That was my number 7.
Right. My number 8 is My Sister's Keeper.
I'm using my skip on that.
No, you're not. It is a depressing movie about cancer.
Dude.
I really enjoyed the book, and the movie is sad, and dude, you like depressing stuff, so.
I do, but that sounds like a girl movie.
It is, dude. I'm a girl, man. These are like the only movies I got.
Whatever.
Right?
Number 8 for me is Babe. I gave you this one because I wanted to give you a children's film besides Neverending Story. And I couldn't really think of any. And honestly, I haven't seen this movie. I seen it one time. When I was... No, I've seen it twice. I saw it once when I was a kid, and then I watched it one time like 10 years ago. But I barely remember it at all. I want to say that it might be sad, but I'm not sure.
Alright. It probably is, but...
Check it out.
What?
I said check it out.
Obviously, I will have to, unless I use my skip. After that, I gave you the best movie on this list, the most important one, and that is The Room.
No! Buddy, I'm using my skip on this.
Tommy Wiseau's classic.
I've seen this movie. You cheated.
You've seen clips on YouTube. You need to watch the whole thing for the full effect, dude.
No, I'm using my skip on this.
No, you're not, dude!
I get to choose when I use my skip.
Okay, but you just said that about the last 5 films I named.
I'm gonna use it on all of them.
No, you're not.
I get
That's
one skip per
you
film.
Established. What?
I get one skip per film.
Okay, I do too then.
No, you don't.
Yes. But dude, The Room is important. It's very meaningful to me. It's meaningful to a lot of people, and I just feel that it's a crime that you have not watched this.
No, I have seen it. I can even quote it. I did not hit her, Mark.
Dude, you saw... Did you see Disaster Artist?
No, but I want to.
Good. No, well, you can't until you see The Room.
Damn it.
And I'm not one of those, like, hipstery... Well, I'm not one of those people who saw it after the fact that it got popular. I saw this back in high school when I had never heard of it and no one was talking about it. And I saw it with a group of friends, and it changed my life. So, The Room.
All right.
Go on.
All right, my number 9 for you is...
What?
Why I'll be so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me. Been spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise.
Been spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. He's like, damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
No, that's the different song.
Anyway.
So I gave you Dangerous Minds, which is a film. Have you ever seen Freedom Writers?
No, dude. I know
Okay,
it's the
basically
remake.
the same movies.
Yeah.
I don't think it's actually a remake, but it might be. I don't know. Dangerous Minds. Michelle Pfeiffer. Is that her name? Michelle Pfeiffer?
Yeah.
She plays like a teacher who gets a job at a tough inner city school with a lot of hood kids and stuff like that, and she, nobody gives a damn about them, and she starts giving a damn about them, and she really works hard to get them to graduate and pass and stuff like that. And I've always felt it very important film, and it shows how important educators and people who actually give a damn about kids who have messed up home lives or, live in rough neighborhoods, can actually amount to something if somebody is there to guide them and help them because they're lost. That's very close to home to me.
Yes.
It's Dangerous Minds. I watched it back in. I give you a lot of films that I watched. A lot of '90s films, honestly. I think like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies out of the 14 are from '90s.
Yeah.
So that's Dangerous Minds.
All right. Next up, I gave you another classic, and that is Monty Python and the Whole.
No! Why would you give me that? No!
Are you done?
No!
Are you done? Are you done?
On this, I think.
All right. Monty Python. Funny enough, I watched this, I think, the same night that I watched The Room with my friends, because we used to get together and just watch these ridiculous films. Oh, I should have gave you Kung Pao, Enter the Fist.
I've seen that a bunch of times.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
What's it about?
It is a parody on Kung Fu movies. There's a cow. There is Neosporin. There's a bunch of stuff in that movie.
What's going on? And what's the big funny thing about it? Wrong. You've never seen it.
Yes, I have. It's a parody of Kung Fu movies.
Yeah, but what? The thing with the way they talk. What's funny about it?
What? The mouth's not matching up to the dub?
Yes.
That's all Asian. That's all Japanese. That's all Kung Fu movies.
No, dude, it's not dub though. It's it's a joke. It's
no,
fake.
I know they're doing it on purpose, but I'm just saying they're making fun of that because that's how they talk. That's how all those movies are.
All right, I'm just letting you know.
You haven't seen no martial arts movies, and you're gonna act like you know about Kung Pao.
I am letting you know about Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
I
okay,
do like Kung Pao Enter the Fist quite a bit. I actually thought of giving you that. That's funny.
Yeah, that was one of the other ones that I watched with my friends, but that's what. Anyway, we're talking about Monty Python now.
I like how you pretend that you had friends when you were in high school.
Dude, I am hammering at home that I had a group of friends. Okay.
No, what you guys watch Birdemic?
No, we did watch clips of it on YouTube after the fact. But
did you?
Yeah,
were you sitting in there like I'm a cinema fan?
No, I
I'm
wasn't.
a fan of cinema.
No, dude, we were watching goofy movies. We weren't watching anything cinematic. What else? We watched that horrible food fight film that was an animated movie that completely failed that came out a few years ago that had all those actors like freaking Charlie Sheen and Hilary Duff, and
never heard it.
It was awful. But anyway, Monty Python though, that's a movie that I never thought, or a grouping of films I never really thought that I would like, but I think they're quite funny. So
honestly, I actually am interested in this one. I've always kind of wanted to see them.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if you find it funny or stupid, because I feel like it's very hit or miss.
All right, so this is your Christmas film. So if you want to watch it when it comes up, feel free. But like I said, you can save it for December, or at least when it snows. And that is Batman Returns from 1992.
This ain't no Christmas film.
Yeah, it's Christmassy.
This is a Batman film.
Yes. It has Danny DeVito in it.
No, we hate him for some reason.
Well, you gave me a Danny DeVito film, so I gave you one.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. What?
All right. No, I didn't. I don't even think I've ever seen a Danny DeVito film.
He plays the Penguin.
No, I haven't. I don't know. In what?
Batman Returns.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right. After that, I gave you Panic Room from 2002. I don't know. It's got Jared Leto, Jodie Foster, and Kristen Stewart in it. Really no other reason besides it's pretty good thriller from the time. And I like it. And I don't know why. It just kind of came to my head, and you hadn't seen it, so here we are.
Probably
I think you'll like
skip that one.
Dude, you can't probably skip all 9 of these
Why?
ones that you're gonna skip.
I don't want to watch these.
I don't either, dude. Could we just, like, scrap this whole part of the show?
No, because I actually gave you good movies.
No, we're scrapping it.
No, I gave you good movies.
We will cut right here and edit.
Why do I give you all good movies?
And now
no
for
troll
what we
movies,
watched.
and you give me troll movie after troll movie.
Dude, I didn't give you a single one of the troll films.
No, I mean, like, you're trolling me with these picks. The Wedding Singer? Come on, dude.
I
That's not a
legit,
good
like,
movie.
You know I grew up watching, like,
Have you
comedy
ever
and
seen
horror.
Cable Guy?
No.
Damn it, why didn't I give you that?
You know I haven't seen it, but... Dude, there's a lot more movies.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love?
But dude, you know
what,
for a fact...
what were you doing?
I was singing.
What were you doing?
Don't you need somebody to love?
Oh, that's great.
I know. But no, dude, like, these are legit movies that I feel I want you to see. You know I haven't seen nearly as many films as you have in the world, so it was a little more challenging for me to come up with good movies.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I intentionally picked every movie with an over 2-hour running time.
No! Dude, are you joking?
Some of them are like 2.5.
Oh my god.
No, I'm kidding. Some of them are long, though.
You're probably not. These all look. I'm pretty sure all of these are. I know Superbad was an hour and 59 minutes. I'm sure all these other, like, more important films probably are too.
All right. My number 11 is Superbad.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
It's probably one of the films that I'm, like, most surprised you haven't watched, because it came in that, like, Judd Apatow era of, like, you know, Knocked Up and 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah, I haven't. Well, wait, no, I have seen 40-Year-Old Virgin.
And
I didn't see
Pineapple
really any
Express and all those movies.
Nope.
What?
I haven't seen any of those.
What the hell was wrong with you?
I didn't watch that era. That's why I'm
you
so
a loser
surprised.
in high school?
No, I just didn't like the sex comedies.
What the hell were you doing in 2007?
Watching, like, Adam Sandler films that came out in 2007, I guess. Like, I didn't like Will Ferrell films or freaking Seth Rogen. I like Seth Rogen.
No, Seth Rogen is great. Will
Jonah
Ferrell,
Hill, like...
Jonah Hill was great. Have you seen Mid-90s?
No, dude.
Damn it. I should have gave you that.
Who else do I hate? Michael Cera, like...
Oh, Michael Cera's fun.
He just sits there and be's awkward the whole time. Like, get out of here, dude.
That's you.
I did like Juno, though.
Juno sucks.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
I should have gave you that one.
Well, maybe we'll do a season 2.
Alright.
Alright, your turn.
Okay. After that, I give you Overboard. Now,
I'm definitely skipping that one.
Overboard is
watching a damn rom-com.
Ram-com? Overboard is a Kurt Russell classic.
Kurt Russell in a rom-com?
Yeah, dude, and it came out, like, in 87, I believe.
Dude,
yeah.
This looks crap.
Dude, it's so good, dude. It is.
Do you even watch Good Moves?
Dude, my mom and I always watch this movie.
Your
It
mom.
goes back. Yes. It's known to be loved by moms. Your mom probably loved it too.
Does it have drugs in it?
Dude. Does it? No.
Alright,
No.
Number 12 for me is one that I've actually just watched for the first time last year, I think. And that is No Country for Old Men.
This is going to be my skip.
Why? Because of the title?
Yes, I've always heard this title. I don't know. Is it a Western? What is it?
No, dude, but it is so good, bro. It is like one of the best movies I've seen.
I always thought it would be a Western. That's
there are so many like tense moments in it where you're on the edge of your seat. It's really good. Don't skip that one.
All right. Okay,
I wish I should have a skip block.
What does that mean?
It means if you go to skip something, I have one block where I'm like, no.
Okay, well, I get a block too.
No. All right.
Are you gonna do this challenge, or is it just gonna be me?
I'm gonna do it. Okay. Your turn.
All right,
Last
13. 13, I have The Crying Game from 1992. This is a movie that I just recently learned about by doing it on Cellular Dissections with Derek. So he kind of showed it to me, and then now I'm passing it on to you because it is one hell of a movie, and I think you'll appreciate it. I know you thought the title was stupid, but it's a pretty good movie.
You know what? I've thought about it, and I think I'm gonna use my skip on that one.
Okay, the joke's getting old, dude.
What joke? It's not a joke.
It's a joke. Well, when you say it for every movie, man, I mean, come on.
All right, number 13 for me is probably, honestly, this is the film I think you'll like least out of all of them.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just because it's like a slow 70s movie, but it's really good. And you know what? Fucking, oh, there's our F word. What's his name from Maniac? Joe Spinell. Joe Spinell's in it.
Oh, really? Okay. I think I knew that.
Yeah. He plays a cool character. He's actually in it quite a bit. But yeah, Rocky is like awesome, dude. It's such a good movie. The history behind it is really good. It's one of the best sports movies ever made. Definitely check it out. I think it's probably one that you might not like that much though, because like I think the sequels I think a lot of people, I don't know, I think it's just like because it's like so much older and it's like one of the first to do it.
Yeah.
I think people just kind of are underwhelmed by it, but like your generation, but it really is a classic.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I feel like everyone in the world has seen the film besides me, so I am curious as to how I'll feel. But
all right, number 14.
For me, I picked yet another one that Derek introduced me to, and that was Blood Simple. It's the first episode we did on our podcast, and it's a Coen Brothers film who also did The Big Lebowski, and it's a very good crime thriller film from 1984. It was featured on 100 Scariest Movie Moments, actually. So it's got some, not scariness, but you know, it's a pretty dark film in some aspects. So I think you'll appreciate it.
Okay, sounds good. So okay, the last one I gave you is an all-time favorite of mine. I wanted to throw a war film in there since I didn't have one. Because I tried to go with a sports movie, two of them actually, a war movie, sort of like a modern day Western-esque style, but it's not a Western at all, and No Country for Old Men. Got a superhero movie in there, a straight up teen sex comedy with Superbad, a couple of kids films, Babe and The Neverending Story, got an action movie, Speed, got some comedies with Dazed and Confused and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I really gave it a mix of everything. So, yes.
Yes, I did that too.
But the war film was Platoon, which is great movies. Charlie Sheen's in it. I think Tony Todd's in it too.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh, that's random.
Yeah. Or is it Keith David?
Or is it David Keith?
Who's David Keith?
That actor from Firestarter.
I've never seen Firestarter.
Yeah, but there's a Keith David and a David Keith.
Did they ever work together?
They have not. There was a meme going around a while back that was like, what if Keith David and David Keith starred in a movie where Keith David played David Keith? Those are hard to say names. And the world would explode or something like that.
Yeah, so it has Keith David, Forrest Whitaker, Kevin Dillon. It has Johnny Depp. It has William Dafoe in there. It has Tony Todd. So Tony Todd is in there. Yeah. And like I said, Charlie Sheen is in there. Tony Todd. Like there's a handful of actors in there. So yeah, that's Platoon. So that's it. That's our challenge there. We have I now have a randomizer up, 1 to 2 coin flip here. Heads or tails. You call it. We'll see who goes first.
All right.
Call it.
I call it now?
Yep.
Heads.
And you are correct. So you either get to pick to go first or second.
I'll go first.
You'll go first?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to randomize your title.
All right.
You ready?
Yes.
All right. It is Speed.
Oh, God!
That's a good first one.
No! I don't like action movies.
All right, well, too bad. So in around 2 weeks' time, you will watch Speed.
All right.
So yeah, we record this one. It comes out this week. Then we record this week. Comes out next week. All right, so it'll be the 3 episodes from now.
All right.
All right,
Sounds
so
good.
that's that. We did it.
We did.
I like it. I think it's gonna be fun.
Me too. I'm excited.
I might just watch Speed for the hell of it.
All right, go right ahead, and then we can talk about it.
All right, go ahead. I mean, I might do it actually.
All right. Cool. So I guess now we will get into what we have watched.
All right. Do you want to go first, or
me
do
to
you
go
want me to go
first?
first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I legit have watched 2 movies.
Really?
Besides, yeah, not counting the Back to the Future films.
Okay, so we'll do those together.
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, I was like kind of putting a few like 2002, 2004 movies on again, and I didn't really count those as watches though, because I just watched them, but I was trying to refreshify my memory. But so the 2 new ones I watched were actually 2 that I got at Dollar Tree. And first up is Incident in a Ghostland. Yeah, I saw this one. When did this come out? Last year, the year before, 2018, I believe, and thought it was really good. Like I said, found it at Dollar Tree, was pretty excited on DVD, and watched it for no other reason than to just watch some movies in my collection. And yeah, this is a very, very good movie, you know, about 2 girls and their mom. They inherit this old house in the middle of nowhere and are attacked by this mentally challenged guy and this strange woman that's with him. And then you kind of skip ahead several years and you have the one daughter. She is living a life as a successful writer, and then she goes back to the house that this happened at, and stuff spirals from there. The movie has a pretty, you know, dark twist thing in it that was like, holy crap, the first time I saw it. And this time around, I enjoyed it just as much. I think I actually enjoyed it probably a little bit more even this time around. Good movie. It might have made my top 10 back then if I had given it a second watch. But of course, there was a lot of good movies in 2018, so it's hard to say. But give it an 8.5. It's pretty brutal and depressing and dark, and you feel super bad for these girls. So, great acting, great film. So, and it's kind of like H.P. Lovecraftian inspired, I guess you can say. But whatever. Then after that, I checked out the Belko Experiment. I believe this also came out in 2018, but I did not, either that or 2017, I forget, but I didn't see it back then. It was one of the ones I kind of missed out on. I think it came out like closer to the beginning of the year, one of those years, and I just didn't get to it by the end of the year because there was so much else I had to watch. And of course, this is about a group of 80 employees at this office, and they're just working, doing their thing, and all of a sudden this voice comes over the intercom and basically tells them that they have to kill, I believe, 2 people at first, or else there will be consequences, and the whole place gets kind of locked up, and they're all trying to figure out if it's a joke or what the heck is going on and figure out how to get out of there. So I really enjoyed this one too. Great film, has a lot of good bloody scenes to it. It's kind of a downer, honestly. It's like very panicky. It seems like, you know, what would you do if you're in this situation? There's a lot of people in the building. Like I said, there's like 80 people, and they're confused and trying to get out of there. And then you have people start turning on each other, and people start kind of teaming up, and just kind of mass chaos. And like I said, it's surprisingly pretty bloody in parts and pretty dark in moments, but it also has like those beats of dark comedy in it as well. But it's not too over the top with the comedy, which I liked. So Yeah, Belko Experiment. I gave that an 8 out of 10. And so that is all I watched. Like I said, besides the 3 Back to the Future films, which we watched together. So, what else have you watched?
All right, so let's see. Did I talk about the Epstein thing?
No, you did not. I think you said that was what you were saving for this pod. So no.
So I didn't. I didn't. That I left off on that one last time.
The last thing you had talked about was Scream Queen, which we did on Netflix and Chill, and Silent Night, Deadly Night 5.
Which, by the way, that episode is out now if you want to check it out. Scream Queen episode of Netflix and Chill. Definitely give it. I think it's probably one of our best Netflix and Chill episodes.
I would agree. Yeah, that was a fun one.
All right, so Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich here. This was a Netflix miniseries. It was 4 parts, and it basically is a documentary about Jeffrey Epstein and his constant abuse and rape of women, underage women for the most part. He basically lured, teenagers, usually from like broken homes or with family issues or whatever, into his mansion in Palm Island, Florida, and basically, coerced or forced or whatever them into performing sexual acts on him and raped girls. It's absolutely horrible. He got away with it for probably decades. I think the first survivors speak happened in like 96 when a girl started working for him as like an assistant or a painter or something, and he would molest her, and then he got her younger, like 14-year-old sister too. Pretty awful, despicable stuff. I will say this, the survivors seem to have, a lot of them seem to have healed fairly decently given the circumstances. I wouldn't say that they're healed, but they're doing well with it from the surface, at least it seems. And I wish them the best, because I mean, it's horrible. Like, this guy completely like ruined a lot of lives, but he was a billionaire. He had like mad money, and just paid police and different people. Like, pretty much nobody could touch him for the longest time. And then eventually they caught up to him, and he was going to trial for some major charges, and he was found dead in his cell, and it was ruled a suicide, which it absolutely was not. I'm like 1,000% sure. There's no way that guy strangled himself to death. 8 out of 10, pretty good. A little bit repetitive, and it's just a lot of rape stories.
Yeah,
kind of gets a little old. After that, I had to like last minute prep for the summer series. I watched Oldboy, which is a Park Chan-wook film from the country of South Korea. It follows a man who is mixed up in some type of stuff, and he basically gets imprisoned in a hotel room for I think 15 years. And basically they feed him. It's like basically a jail, but it's like a locked off hotel room. And he's there for 15 years or so, and he finally gets out, and he's trying to track down and figure out who did it to him. And he basically, it's violent. There's a scene where he's like fighting like 30 dudes in a corridor with a hammer, and it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, very interesting film, and the ending is pretty crazy ending. That is Oldboy. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Could probably honestly go higher. It's a really good movie. Then we have then I watched all these in one night, and I almost offed myself, as I told you.
Yes, correct.
It was like a horrible decision to put these off for that long. because I just became completely miserable.
Jeez.
Even though the movies were all great, it was just like I had a bad headache and it was horrible. I started the night off at midnight with Tale of Two Sisters, which is a South Korean film about a sister who gets out of a mental hospital and comes home to her family, and she believes that her stepmother is abusing her sister. And it kind of has some like ghostly type things to it. Really good movie. Gave it an 8 out of 10. I could probably give it 8.5. Then right after that, I watched Ju-on the Grudge, and I like this a lot more than I did the last time that I watched it. It is a movie that, for whatever reason, it didn't work quite for me the first time I seen it, and one of the main reasons is because one of the early scare scenes involves like a little boy, and he's painted like gray basically, but on his stomach, and he's shirtless, so you see his whole torso. You could see like his flesh tone shining through the paint, which instantly takes me out of the movie, because I'm like, okay, he's supposed to be gray skinned, but you can see that it's just paint over top of, skin. And it just instantly makes me look at it like just a little kid acting, and it completely takes me out of the film. I kind of got over that little gripe this time. There were some scary moments in it. Primarily takes place in the daylight. Have you ever seen this film?
No, I've never seen, well, besides like Kayako versus Sadako or vice versa. I've never seen any of the Japanese Grudge films. So
well, I think this is the one that the original or the American remake is based on, but I think this is like the third Grudge film.
Yeah. Yeah, which is weird.
It's the first one called The Grudge, but it's like the third Ju-on film. It's pretty, I respect it a lot more now, and it has whenever you do watch it, if you ever see it, you really have to pay attention, because the narrative is all over the place. It's told non-chronologically, so the stories like come out of order and are kind of weird. But yeah, that is Ju-on. I gave it a 7.5. Pretty good rating. Then we have Switchblade Romance, aka High Tension, which is probably my third favorite in the new wave of French extreme films, the Fab Five, if you will. And it follows a young woman who is visiting her friend on holiday from school. I think they're in school. And she awakens to a killer entering the home and murdering the girl's family, and she's trying to save her. It has like a lot to do with like sexual repression, and I would consider this a LGBTQ horror film, which is pretty cool. Was thinking about that after we watched Scream Queen, because that one's, Freddy 2 is, pretty gay. So I was thinking of like other films that are LGBTQ films, and this is one of the first ones I thought of.
Yes, and by the way, nobody thinks you're cool because you say Switchblade Romance.
First of all, everybody thinks I'm cool for saying Switchblade Romance. Second of all, it's the better title.
I don't know, dude. High Tension just sounds scarier to me. It's like High Tension.
Well, High Tension is a great title as well, because it fits the film.
Yeah.
But Switchblade Romance fits the film on a deeper level.
I suppose.
It's cinema, buddy. It's cinema. You wouldn't understand.
Shut up, dude.
Well, Duncan actually told me that that's what it's called in the UK. Switchblade
Whatever.
Romance.
No, that's wrong.
I gave it a 9 out of 10. I love this movie. It needs a Blu-ray release, or if it has one, it needs a re-release. Oh, and by the way, so I watched all 3 of those in a row. Going into my 4th film here, we have Identity, which is honestly, it's a pretty good movie. It was probably like the underdog of the 10 that we picked, but it stars John Cusack, Rebecca De Mornay's in it. It has tons of actors. Claude Vall is in it. Jake Busey's in it. But it follows. It's basically. Have you ever read 10 Little Indians by Agatha Christie?
No.
Me neither, but it's basically that. Have you ever seen The Outsiders?
Yes.
Oh, I was about to say, I would have been so mad if I didn't give you The Outsiders.
It's been a long time though. I don't remember it a ton.
Okay.
I saw it back in like middle school.
I don't know why I just thought of that, but oh, because it's based on a novel. So Agatha Christie, 10 Little Indians. Basically, I've never read it, but I've seen a couple movies that are inspired or based on that. And it follows like 10 people or a group of people who all end up at this motel together. And there's like a killer picking them off. They're trying to figure out who it is. Like there's a prisoner. There's somebody who's like being transported to jail. So they all think it's him. And then they think it's somebody else. And then they're not sure because this person was lying. And it's a pretty cool movie. I think that like one of the coolest aspects of it is that it's set at this motel, like reminds you of like some Bates Motel type thing, like out in the middle of nowhere on a desert road with it, and it's raining and thundering, and it's pretty cool. I dig it. I actually really dig it. I want to pick this film up. I don't own it, but it's a pretty fun one. I really enjoy it. I've only seen it twice, and I've seen it twice in the last like 2 years.
Nice.
And then the final film that I watched of the night was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So 5 films. I almost died watching all 5 of those starting at midnight. 2003. I absolutely love it, dude. It is one of like the best remakes to me. You have this great sort of retelling of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with different types of visuals and characters, but still grounded in the same story. More or less, and I think that they really updated it well. Like, I like the relationship between Kemper and Jessica Biel's character. I like what the hell's his name? Jonathan Tucker, the dude with the curly hair and the glasses. I like the Pepper and the blonde dude. I like R. Lee Ermey. It's the R. Lee Ermey show, man. And you know, people say like, "Oh, there's not enough Leatherface in it," but realistically, Leatherface has always been like a secondary character. The most screen time he gets is in part 2, and that's because he has like a romance thing blooming with Stretch. But yeah, I mean, it's like R. Lee Ermey fits perfect in that world. Like, I love some of the lines that he gives, like he's just a disgusting, despicable person, right? Like, he's like, "Oh, that dead body's a little wet down there between the legs. What you boys been doing to this dead body, huh?" Oh, dude, he's like, "When I was a young deputy, I used to love wrapping me up these young honeys." He's like, "You little cop a little fill every once in a while," and I'm like, "Oh my god, this guy is horrible." And then he's like, the girl's like, "I don't know if we should just," and he's like, "Missy, if you don't think I got respect for the dead, you're surely mistaken." And then he looks over and he's like, "Hey, get that goddamn dirty stinking body out the back of the seat of my car. Put it in the trunk." Dude, I mean, he just has line after line after line. It's so good. And they're good lines. They're good lines. Plus, there's like some stuff that really bothers me, like when dude's being drugged down to the basement when his legs cut off and his fingers drag against the concrete and break his nails. It's just gross. Great. Yeah. I just love it, dude. It is a great, I think it's a great movie. I think it's underloved. 10 out of 10.
I like it too.
And then I watched Puppet Master 1 last night. I got the box set in, the I think 10 film box set or 11 film box set. And I popped in the first one. I was gonna watch part 3 because it's 91 film, and it's also the best Puppet Master, besides the newest one that's not part of the Full Moon series, the Littlest Reich. But part 3 is the best of the original Full Moon run, and I was gonna just pop that one in, but I was like, you know what, these movies are pretty short. I just got this brand new box set. Let me watch the first 3. So I popped in part 1, and damn, that movie is boring as hell. Like, it really is, dude. It's like the one that started it all. It's like the classic Puppet Master, but it's the worst one out of the first 3. It just is like dull, and it like the opening's cool. Dull until like a kill, and then with like a half hour left, it's entertaining because there's a couple of kills. You got the leech woman kill and stuff like that, and Blade, and and all those. But damn, is it dull up until then.
Mm.
So honestly, it's like at a 5 or a 5.5. Like it's a basic movie, but I love the stuff that happens at the end. It's good, but before that, it is really dull. Then I watched Puppet Master 2. That one was from 89. I think Puppet Master 2 is from 90. And Puppet Master 2 is a little bit more of an improvement on the first one. Still has some dull moments. The plot is ridiculous, and Andre Toulon does not seem like the same person from the first film at all. I don't know what the hell they were thinking, making him like this mad scientist guy, because he was like a frail old dude played by William Hickey in the first film, where he's like kind of, you get this sense, you don't know much about him, but since he's running from Nazis, you get the sense that he's probably not a horrible guy. And part 2, he's just a douchebag. But you get Torch, like, absolutely roasts a kid, and it's great. Like, Torch just murders a young kid with fire.
Yes.
And it's awesome. So I give that one like a 6.5, probably, maybe 6. I don't know. I have to look at my old ratings, see if I line up with them. But yeah, that's all I watched besides the Back to the Future trilogy.
All right. So, yes, we watched the Back to the Future movies.
Yeah, we watched all 3 of them on the big screen. I am a massive fan of this trilogy. I've seen the first one. How many times would you say that I've seen it?
I don't really know, because I don't know, 100.
Well, no, I'm just asking you based on, like,
your love for it?
I feel like I might have been annoying you while watching it.
Yeah, I would say you've probably seen it, like, more times than to count, because you knew every line from the movie. So, yes, I would say you're a pretty big fan. Yeah. I, on the other hand, had only seen these movies once before, and the funny thing is, it was in another marathon-type setting where my friend Mallory is actually a huge fan of the films, and probably in 2000, I don't even remember, but back in high school, she invited me over, and we went into her basement and watched all 3 of them back to back. So, this is my second time watching them all, and again, it was watching them all in marathon format. Which are good movies to marathon, since they are pretty much back-to-back in their storytelling.
Yeah, it's one of those titles that it's funny. Was it the second one or the first one? I noticed something new that I'd never seen before. It was the second one.
Yeah.
In the first one, obviously, it's just perfect. It's like a perfect movie. I love it so much. Michael J. Fox is awesome. I love Doc Brown. He's damn hilarious throughout the entire trilogy. The stuff with the mother is so awkward and it's fun. I love the 50s setting and aesthetic. I love the fish out of water narrative. It is a fantastic movie. 10 out of 10 on that first one. And then the second one, Back to the Future 2, the thing that I noticed that I never noticed before is when Michael J. Fox like screws up, gives Biff the sports almanac, goes back in time to 85, and it's like now Biff Co. First of all, Biff reminds me of Donald Trump a little bit, which I would never noticed before. It's kind of funny. And then he takes the matches from Biff, and that's kind of how his like calling card later in the film, where he sees like, okay, things have went back to normal because I have these matches that say Biff, company or whatever, but if they go back to blank or something else, then they won't be, then I fix the future. But when the original 85, when he's sees Biff as an old man, Biff says that he just started a new car detailing thing, and he offers Marty these matchbooks. And I never noticed, but when he does fix everything, it goes from like Biff Company to Biff's like detailing, so it went back to normal. And I never noticed that as long as I've watched it. And there's stuff that I always notice that I never seen before, and that's what's really cool about the Back to the Future series. There's so many little things in there. Back to the Future 2, is probably my favorite one, but I just like it because it has a mix of everything. Like it has the future and then the present and then the past, and it's just I like where they're like I like the story in it, but it's probably not as good. And then Back to the Future 3, I think is really underrated. It's definitely a lot slower. There's less fun stuff happening because it's, you know, horses and stuff like that, trains. But I don't know. I like the Old West setting. My favorite scene in the third one is when Doc is like heartbroken and he goes into the bar and he's like, you know, give me a whiskey. And he's like, leave the bottle. And he leaves the bottle. And then like some time goes by and like Marty wakes up and then it flashes back into the bar and Doc is talking about the future and they're like, how much has he had? And the bartender's like, none. That's his first one. He hasn't touched it yet.
So he's like, he's just been holding that cup for like an hour.
Right, yeah, he's like, he's just been holding it.
Yeah. I feel like honestly the movies are all pretty much on par with each other. I would say my personal enjoyment is in order. I think the first one is my favorite. I just enjoy that story of him going back to his parents' time and trying to like make sure they get together. I just enjoy that concept. I thought it was cool, and you know, the whole 50s setting was dope. Part 2 I liked. It was fun, but I didn't like the story as much as part 1. And then part 3, of course, you know how I feel about the period pieces, so it wasn't my favorite. Like you said, definitely a little
well, technically,
slower.
part 1 is a period piece.
Oh, well, I guess that, yeah, true. But I mean, like, period pieces and, like, the old. When I think of a period piece, I think of the 1800s. That's not, like, I never think of, oh, if this movie's set in the 80s, that's a period piece. Because in my head, a period piece is, like, the olden days where I can't really relate to anything. But I know that's not what that means, obviously, but in my head that's what I picture. But yeah, part 3, I think it's a little bit slower, but I think filmmaking wise and acting wise, it's pretty much the same film, you know. All 3 of these movies are basically the same. They have the same like running. They have legit scenes that are exactly the same in each one, like Marty running away scenes or the whole manure scene with the Biff character.
Yeah, it happens in all 3 of them.
Yeah. So but it happens like in a different time period in all 3 of them, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, I enjoyed these movies more than I thought I did. You know, the first time I watched them, I appreciated them. Thought like, okay, I could see why people like these, but I feel like I liked them a lot more this time around. So I had a fun time with this marathon.
Yeah, I give it 10, 9.5, and then 9.
I'm basically like right behind. I give first one 9, then 8.5, then 8.
Yeah, Austin is tripping for not liking those movies.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think he only watched that first one, and gave up.
It's a shame. Anyway, so that is the Back to the Future films. And yeah, so with that said, let's move into our featured review.
Yes, let's. Which is on a movie called Outback from 2019. Based on an urban legend, whatever, which I thought was kind of weird, but yeah, so Outback, basically, on IMDb here, it says, down under for an adventure-filled vacation, a young American couple quickly find themselves stranded in the unforgiving Australian outback. So, yes, you have this young couple, I believe they're like high school sweethearts, they've been together for a long time, and they are on a flight at the beginning, and they're taking a trip to Australia, just to a little vacation getaway, and you know, they have some tension because the boyfriend wants to further the relationship and kind of start a family with her, and kind of drops out on her at the beginning of the film. So right off the bat, there's like this tension because she's not really feeling it, and you know, they go to Australia. They're kind of exploring the beaches and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, well, we could see this anywhere. We should explore the actual outback. That's what Australia is known for. So they take a trip into the deserted outback of Australia and wind up stranded. And it becomes a survival film of sorts. So that is The Move. What did you think of the movie?
So the director here, Mike Green, he worked on the film The Snowtown Murders, which is based on a true story in Australia. Kind of a disturbing movie. And he worked as like miscellaneous crew, so he kind of started on the ground. He did a bunch of short films, and then this is his feature debut. And his co-writer, Brian Kelly, was a guy who didn't do damn nothing. Except for he wrote some shorts. So, yeah, Outback. So, first of all, you have this American couple. They're American, right?
Yeah, they came from America.
And they make them just seem dumb, right?
Yes.
Like just super, like not taking it serious, not taking the Outback and the different area seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not being fearful of it really. And yeah, basically they go. Sorry, excuse me, jeez. They go to the Outback and they essentially get lost. They're I forget what they get lost. The GPS is telling them the wrong stuff. They get out of the car and decide to walk up like a hill to see if they can see anything close.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets dark by the time they do that, and then they lose their car. And then does the girl get bit by a scorpion or something? Something happens to her.
Yeah, it's like the second time they fall asleep, I think she gets bitten, and then she's passed out, and you think she's like dead for a minute there.
Yeah, I thought she was definitely dead.
Yeah.
And then they separate, and they're kind of on their own, struggling to survive. The survival aspect of this film is nil. There is none. It's just them basically dying the entire time. And I see a lot of the things that I were reading was reading. A lot of things that I was reading was stuff where people said like, oh my god, dumbest characters ever, stupid characters. I actually didn't feel that way for the most part. Like the stuff that happened to them, you hear about it all the time. Like, oh, like we thought we were fine and we just like walked away and then we got lost. You know what I mean?
I disagree. I thought they were dumb as hell the entire film.
Like what part bothered you?
Well, they're going out in the Outback to the middle of nowhere for one thing. The GPS is like taking them in circles because I don't understand that. I guess it was rerouting and it was an unknown area. So the dude just keeps on driving and driving for what seems like forever because the girl falls asleep, and it's like you're gonna run out of gas eventually. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're clearly lost because the GPS doesn't recognize the area, so you probably should have just gave up and went back. And then just getting out of the car and walking, he's like, let's just walk up this hill. Well, the hill's like takes 3 days to walk to apparently, and they walk and it's like pitch black out, and she's like, it's getting dark, I think we should go back. And he's like, what? We're almost there. Then they get there, there's nothing there, and then he's like, okay, now we can turn around. And then it's like, obviously it took them forever to get there. It's already nighttime, and now they're choosing to turn around, and they've walked so far away that the car, well, I mean, like, they're probably walking in a straight line, so what way did they go to where they lost the car, for one thing?
Well, if you've ever walked in a straight line, like in the woods, there's actually a study that says that people can't walk straight. Like if you're in the woods or like in like terrain, there's studies that say that unless you're actively like looking, okay, I'm going to walk to that line over there. If you're just walking, human nature suggests that you will not walk in a straight line because you will go left around a rock and then you won't remember to go back right again. And, you know, stuff like that. And it just basically puts you off course. Like nobody really walks in straight lines.
All right. Well, I'm just
okay. I have a little bit of a problem with them not just going back. But at the same time, I don't think that the character ever actually thought they were in danger. Like, I think that you know, a lot of people would be like, oh, you know, like, I don't want to like screw myself, especially knowing that I'm in a horror movie about about survival. But these people didn't think that that was happening to them. They just thought that they were going down this road or whatever. I would have been, I think most people would be more cautious, but you hear it all the time about people getting screwed over because they just didn't think they were in danger in survival situations.
I don't know, dude. I just feel like...
I don't have a huge problem with them. Like, I could see that car, like, obviously you're watching a movie, so you're going to be more critical of like, don't do that. That's how you end up in this situation. But in the moment, like, I could see just be like, you're just on a road and you're like, okay, I just turn around anytime and go back. But like, you know, I don't think that the guy thought he was ever in danger, and it's dumb of the character, but I think that that's common in American tourists. They just think they're fine,
I guess. I also just didn't like these two characters. I didn't believe them. Like, well, I didn't believe they were a couple.
The acting was really rough.
Yeah, I thought the girl sucked.
For this type of movie. The girl was the bad one. For this type of movie, you need a little bit stronger acting. Like, this would be fine in a slasher film or something like that. But this serious type of movie, you need better actors. Now, the thing that bothered me mostly was and this will absolutely, if I'm watching a survival movie and you don't deal with this right away. How many days passed? 3 or 4?
5.
5. Okay. You are not surviving for 5 days with no water. Period. Mm-hmm. I don't care what the hell you drink, if you drink your pee or not. You will not survive 5 days in the blistering Australian outback without water. So, like, and it's easy to fix that. Just give them more water to start. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, because they run out of water on the first day. Give them, like, a jug of water in the car, and halfway through they take the water. You know, don't, like, plan it to where it's like they go 2 or 3 days without water, and then they're about to die. Once it's 5, I call bullcrap, because you're not surviving 5 days without water. You're just not.
Yeah, that was a major problem I had. And, like, throughout the movie, you got the girl especially, she's like licking plants and stuff, and I'm like, that's not getting you anything, darling. And then I also find it funny, it's like, okay, 5 days have passed, but I feel like after the first hour of walking, they're already acting like they're
5 days
doomed.
have passed.
Yeah, they're acting delirious. She's like, oh, we have to rest, and then she starts saying dramatic stuff like, if we make it out of here, will you still marry me? And it's like, dude, you've been out here for like 10 minutes. Like, what are you, like?
I mean,
it's just funny
I get it a little bit, because, like, as someone who's a big fan of survival shows and survival movies, and survival theories in general, like, that particular area they're in, the heat is so powerful that it just sucks all moisture out of you, and if you're walking and exerting yourself, like, there's no way, like, they might be dead on the 3rd day with no water. You know what I mean? So I get that, where you feel like you're dying after a day, you know what I mean, because you had no water. But I think that it was sloppy as hell. Like, it really doesn't feel like it was thought out that well. One thing that I think was probably the most interesting was when he got back to the car and he found out it was dead. Mm-hmm. The first thing I thought of was, I wonder if you could drink the windshield wiper fluid. That's literally before he got out of, you know, out there or anything. I wondered that. And I was thinking, like, is it just water? And I was like, no, there's chemicals in it. You definitely can't drink that. And I don't know what's in it. And I don't know that you can or can't drink it. But this movie says that you probably can't, because he gets sick. But the drinking, you're, like, literally toxic as fuck. Oops. That's a sick enough word. I failed.
Yes.
I'm a failure.
Yeah. Oh, hey, it's okay. But I know what you're going to say, the urine.
Yes, you can't do that. What the hell is wrong with you?
You can do that one time, and then that's it. Because after that, it becomes toxic. I saw this on Survivor Man. He did it once, and he said you can only get away with drinking your own pee once, but after that, it just becomes
that's not
acid.
What he said. He said that you can do it once if you're not already dehydrated. Once you start becoming dehydrated, it's only toxins you're drinking. You know what I mean? It's like if I right now, if I went and peed in a cup, I could drink it. and I will get hydrated from it a little bit.
Okay.
Because I'm hydrated. Because I'm actually have flowing water going through me constantly because I'm hydrated. Once you're dehydrated, you do not want to drink your pee.
Yes, so you can only drink it once, as I said.
Yeah, but not once when they're like at the end of the first day. Like once like before they're...
Well, I mean, they drank water on the first day, so...
Yeah, but I mean, like, even after they're... Any long period of time after they've exhausted their water supply, you don't want to be drinking your pee, really.
Okay, yeah, the point is this guy's drinking it like Gatorade.
Right,
so
and it's so yellow and disgusting, and not only is he drinking his pee, he's drinking his, like, windshield wiper pee, which I'm sure is even worse. And he then gives it to his girlfriend to survive
I know, he's
on.
like, I got you some water. Like, no, you might as well have her pee and drink that. Like,
yes, what the...
I'm not gonna drink your pee.
Like, honestly, them getting stuck there stupidly was, like, one of the least problems I had with the entire movie.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't think this is a good movie.
I don't either. I think it's horrible. I had a problem with them getting stuck there, but I had more of a problem with the survival. And then it just seems like the dude, he kind of runs off on his own, and then you just have the girl. I feel like she just sits there for like 3 days and is just sitting there like licking rocks and not even trying anymore. It's just ridiculously like don't deserve to live by the end. It was one of those movies where I'm like, if you guys would die out here, it serves you right. I don't care.
The film just feels a little bit like they essentially don't really know much about survival and didn't really like look into it.
It's boring too. Like I was falling asleep practically not really falling asleep, but I was really tired after watching it because all you're doing is pretty much watching them walk around weekly, and it's like, okay, the setting's cool. You get some good shots of the desert, but it's just a desert and there's not enough going on besides them roaming around drinking pee to like keep me captivated. And it made the movie feel like it went on longer than it did, which it's only an hour and 26 minutes, and it felt like 2 hours because there's not enough substance going for it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, so what do you think? We should look at some, which I totally forgot, but we got some reviews here on Letterboxd that we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I nothing rubs me the wrong way like a survival film that it just feels like the person doesn't really know anything about survival.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it just becomes another generic film at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even know if this is on Letterboxd yet.
I think I logged it.
Oh wait, yep, I found it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's see here. None of our friends have watched it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go with this woman's whole arc is that she finally will drink pee.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Looking for more okay, let's go with Goth Girl 93.
Okay.
Goth Girl 93 looks kind of hot.
I doubt it.
Goth Girl 93 is her favorite movies are The Craft, Pulp Fiction, Scream, and Midsommar.
Oh, cool.
And she's watched Becky Blocker's Velocipaster and Outback recently.
Interesting.
I shall follow you.
No, you shall not.
Okay, so we got two of the stupidest human beings and the most irritating couple I've ever seen on film. I don't think they did a single thing right the whole film. The film was made and shot beautifully, but if I'm not emotionally interested in the characters and their acts, the movie is less enjoyable. 2 out of 5 for Goth Girl 93. Okay, this one is pretty much the only positive review that I'm seeing here, and it's 3.5 stars. Primarily, it seems like the film is getting, under 3 stars. Okay, so let's see here. This review is by Richard Bellamy. And Richard Bellamy is from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. His favorite films are Lawrence of Arabia, The Searchers, Ben-Hur, and The Tree of Life. And he's recently watched Da 5 Bloods, in which he gave it 2.5 stars, Frozen 2, Minions, and Outback. So, not really a horror fan per se, but this isn't really a horror movie per se. But Richard Bellamy says, the raw survival tale is based on the urban legend. Don't know what the hell the urban legend is, but the two young people who venture into Australian outback make some pretty stupid mistakes. You don't go trapezing off into the bush to a ridge to see where you are. Fuck that. Damn it. He screwed me. He made me say the second F word.
Hey, that doesn't count if you're just reading off something.
Yeah. Stay with the car on the dirt road. The road goes somewhere. The bush is full of scorpions and snakes, dude. Well made and gripping. What the hell are you talking about?
What? What happened
This guy gave it a 2-star. He says, if you go off the road, you're in trouble. This movie was piss poor with capital P.
Yeah.
These are funny. There's some funny ones on here. Why can't I be funny when I say stuff?
Yeah, I don't know why.
I mean, why can't you be funny?
I don't know why.
Okay, so let's get into our ratings. This 86-minute disaster.
All right. You want me to go first?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, it's not that good. The only thing I can really give it is it's like shots decently. It's got beautiful sets and whatnot. This almost feels like kind of high for it now that I talk about it, but I gave it a 4 out of 10.
I'm actually right there with you. I also gave it a 4 out of 10. I just don't think it I mean, honestly, here's the thing. I wasn't like annoyed or uninterested. Like I guess I was a little annoyed, but I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait for this to be over. I want to turn it off. Like, I was into the whole movie. I just thought it was dumb.
Yeah, I feel like I liked it less than you. I was with it at the beginning, and then halfway through, I was like ready for it to just end, and I kind of predicted how it would end too. So, and also, yeah, what's with like based on an urban legend? What urban legend is this based on? The urban legend of going off into the desert and getting lost, like.
Probably, I guess.
Because at first I thought it said it was based on a true story, and at that point I was going to be like, oh, I guess I can't hate this movie too much, and then I realized, no, that's not what it is, but that is my final thought.
All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and get out of here. We will see you guys next week. There is a new movie coming out called Follows. I kind of want to see if I could see it. Also in the pipeline, Ghost of War I should be getting a screener for that soon. There was a couple other screener solicitations out there, so maybe we'll do some of those. I kind of wanted to see The King of Staten Island 2, but it's like $20 to rent right now. I was hoping it would go to the drive-in, which it was supposed to, but it got pulled because Universal are cunts and they don't want to support theaters anymore for some reason. But that's the story for another day. I will see you next time. I'm JP, that is Carly, and we are out.
Peace.